welcome to DCU Daily. Here we are today, starting off this wonderful Friday with news, like we always do, but then obviously we will be getting into Fancast Friday after this wonderful little show. But first, DCU Daily, and starting off with the news, we do have quite a bit for you guys. Unfortunately, we have to get into some sadder news. There has been 2 celebrity deaths that I'm sure you know about already that we will be getting into. We're going to be talking about those, so there's that. And then, of course, we are going to be getting into MovieTalk Madness. We're going to be talking about Project Hail Mary's projections, as well as its previews that happened yesterday, in addition to the early screenings that happened on Monday. Then we will be talking about the next writer for Fast Forever, or Fast Forever, whatever the new Fast and Furious movie is. And maybe it might bring some scheduling conflicts with another film that might be a little bit disastrous, and then a little bit in regards to some other projects. And then MCU Weekly, of course, we are still talking about Brand New Day, still talking about that trailer. We still have a lot to get into, so we're going to be getting into that. Then a little bit into Daredevil Born Again, as well as some other MCU and Marvel-related stories. And then a little bit of TVTalk Terror. Got some Assassin's Creed stuff. We have another superhero comic getting adapted, but maybe not the one you think. Then, of course, Quick Hits, as we all do, as we all love them so much. Quick Hits, Quick Hits, Quick Hits. Then we get into DCU Daily proper. We have a little bit more than yesterday. We have our Quick Hits. We have DC Quick Hits. Then we have a little bit of Supergirl news, a little bit of Peacemaker, and then a little bit of Lantern's analysis, not necessarily newsworthy, but kind of going off of what's been going on in terms of the pop culture zeitgeist in its reaction to Lantern. So we will be talking about that. And of course, all of that and more to get into. So let's get into it proper.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Oh boy, here we are. Let me get this proper. Welcome to the news. We are here to talk about all sorts of things, and unfortunately, we need to start off with something kind of sad. Well, sad for most people, and that is the unfortunate passing of the pop culture icon of Chuck Norris. He passed away at the age of 86. Now, originally, I was not going to talk about this. I kind of similar with what happened when we were talking about the death of Hulk Hogan. I have very negative thoughts about Chuck Norris, and I frankly was not going to say them. I was going to let Dan take it, but Dan isn't here right now. So I'm just gonna kind of speed through this as much as I can because, frankly, I don't feel comfortable talking about this, not in a fan sort of way, sort of in an opposite of a fan kind of way. So yes, Chuck Norris did pass away at the age of 86. Also, if you post any Chuck Norris jokes in the chat, I will ban you. So with that out of the way, yes, Chuck Norris, the man of 1,000 memes and a trillion more. recently, his family gave us news that he did pass away. Now, in regards to all of this, he has tons of movies behind him. He was a pop culture icon, mainly of the 80s, mainly of canon films. So, yes, fun fact, fought Bruce Lee and lost like the pussy he is. Nah, I'm just kidding. But we, of course, have to dive into. Hang on, let me just see something real quick. Where is it? There it is. Okay. I have to change the color, guys, because somebody didn't do it yesterday, aka me. But we do have a lot of memorable film and TV from Chuck Norris. Of course, Walker Texas Ranger was the big like kind of comeback role for him and lasted like 12 seasons. Then we have Hero and the Terror. We have A Force of One, Missing in Action, An Eye for an Eye, Silent Rage, just Code of Silence, Delta Force, Forged Vengeance, Lone Wolf McQuaid, and Invasion USA. That was a big one. The Octagon, Breaker Breaker, just tons and tons of roles that will probably not stand the test of time, but they will be remembered by a lot of cult fans. So, but his family had this to say. Obviously they posted this on his Twitter or Facebook or something. Where they just left a lovely message, so that's nice to see. But obviously they wish for their privacy, as you know, as one does when something like this happens. So, yes. Next up, but yeah, these are all, pics of his life, his roles, and a lot of things he will be remembered by. That's not the only thing. He will be remembered by many of the action stars of the 80s. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, Sly Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, leaving very nice thoughts about it. Arnold saying Chuck was an icon. Um, they did star together in The Expendables. Jean-Claude Van Damme said some kind words about Chuck Norris, and Stephen King left his favorite Chuck Norris joke. So, yeah, a lot of them gave very, very nice words about the man, the myth, the legend. So, yeah, it happens to everyone. It happens to all of us. Um, yeah. Okay, that's yeah. Um, but um, but yeah. So, um, yeah, yeah, we just showed the Jean-Claude Van Damme. Sad to see, I guess. But next up, unfortunately, we literally just got this news like hours before our show. And kind of weirdly in light of what we've been talking about the last 2 days is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and unfortunately, Nicholas Brendan, who played, I believe, Xander in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, unfortunately passed away at the age of 54. Much younger than Chuck Norris. Say what you will about Chuck Norris, is that he still lived a pretty long life. He lived until the age of 86. Nice long life. Okay. But yes, unfortunately, Nicholas Brendan, he passed away at 54. Not quite as long. Very this is very sad to see. Like, I was not a big Buffy fan, but I had seen him in a couple smaller roles. Like, he was great in this movie, this very small indie movie called Coherence. Like, he was probably the most famous person in that movie. But yes, he passed away, I believe. He passed away today. I almost said Friday. It's like Friday's today. God, I'm forgetting what day it was. But he passed away in his sleep due to natural causes. So he either had something, with his heart or his brain. But yeah, it's very sad to see because only because he was so young. 54 is not very old, so it's yeah, just a sad thing to see. Again, I'm not familiar with his acting. I'm sure others, you know, um, I didn't even know he had a twin, but yeah, but that's a damn shame. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend the movie Coherence. It's on Tubi for free. If you want to go watch it, go honor him outside of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, he's been in so many things a lot. I mean, he was a working actor. So, it's tough to see something like this cuz again, he was young, you know. He was in a lot of things like, a lot of things you wouldn't know like Psycho Beach Party, Demon Island, A Golden Christmas, The Portal, Redwood, Attack of the Morningside Monster, but then of course he was in a lot of TV, um, but private, not just Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but he was in, Criminal Minds, as it mentions in the log line there. Somebody mentioned in the chat, um, somebody mentioned, Kitchen Confidential. Yes, thank you, Monique. He was in that as well. Um, yeah, but yeah, this is just the last project he did was about 5 years ago. So I yeah. Um but he did have a lot of health issues. He did have a lot of surgeries. Um but yeah, so, rest in peace, Mr. Nicholas Brendan. You will be missed, even though he I know it's sad it's because it's like, oh, he hasn't been in a lot. Well, that's not to deter like what mark he made in the things he was in. So, um, yeah. Yeah, this was dropped maybe a couple hours ago. Um, like I want to say around like 6, 7 o'clock, maybe, our time. So, hang on, let me look when. Yeah, no, not even. It was like 8 o'clock where Dan posted it into our chat. So I decided to include it last minute. So no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine, Tony. You're all good. You're all good. Don't worry. Everyone in this chat can't type. You're fine. Um, but that's it for the sadder news. Let's try to get through that as much as we can. Not to say to demean the memory of them, but we want to try and get to things that we're excited to talk about. And you know what's amazing to talk about is, of course, Project Hail Mary. Apparently, Project Hail Mary, um, which is part of MovieTalk Madness. Let me get the proper banner. So, yes, Project Hail Mary rockets to gravity-defying 12 million in previews. So this includes not only the Thursday previews, but in addition to the early screening stuff that happened on Monday. So, the sci-fi adventure has started off its box office run with a gravity-defying 12 million in previews, the best preview gross of the year to date, when including both regular Thursday shows and fan screenings held earlier this week. Amazon MGM adds it is also the second best ever preview gross for a non-sequel, behind It, not adjusted for inflation. As we keep talking about, Project Hail Mary is certain to win the weekend. The only question now is by how much. Based on the strength of preview grosses, many believe it will come in well ahead of expectations with 60 million or more. Amazon MGM insiders are still sticking with a forecast in the 50 million range, considering that Sci-Fi to be a tough sell, particularly offshore. Now, we did get through we were talking about this, how it might even get 100 million, which is, tougher, but it's in the realm of possibility. Oh, I apologize. I meant to hit the mute button. Sorry about that, guys. But yes. All right, Dan, calm down. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit high for the 100 million, but like they were kind of going back and forth. Like, oh, look at the high, critic score, high audience scores. all that. But like this is more like it's probably going to be 50 to 70 million around there. But speaking of 70 million, apparently it's looking at a 71 million plus US opening. Sets Amazon MGM Studios record best YTD. Project Hail Mary is shooting for a massive $31 million today, including previews, and the best opening of 2026 so far with 71.1 million at 4,007 runs. That's also the best opening ever for an Amazon MGM Studios movie, ahead of Creed 3's 58.3 million back in 2023. Matinees are good, and the Lord Miller, although Miller spelled wrong. See, Tony, don't worry about typos. They put them, Deadline put them in their own article. Directed and produced movie is playing Broadway here. If those figures hold, it will tie with Jordan Peele's Us as the fourth best opening for a non-franchise title after Oppenheimer, I Am Legend, and before it was a franchise, Avatar. So that's really awesome to see. Like it's just nice to see, like, even though yes, it's based on a book, um but yeah, I think that's great. Like, it's more original, it's, sci-fi, all that stuff. So I think that's awesome to see. I think like people are championing for more original movies. And with that, I think this is a win. Like kind of like how Iron Lung felt like a win, even though it was an adaptation. It was more original than like, superhero movies or sequels or remakes and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a baby steps kind of thing. Okay, it is an adaptation, it's based on a book. However, it's still more original than a lot of the stuff else that's coming out. So yeah, I think you know, I yeah, I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see this win. I'm happy to see it get all the accolades. Happy to see it get everything it deserves, because it is indeed amazing. Um yes, absolutely. I'm going to be seeing it again tomorrow in addition to Ready or Not 2. Um okay. But the next thing we have, another big thing we have for Movie Talk Madness is Fast Forever taps apparently Michael Leslie, screenwriter of Hunger Games prequels and Now You See Me 3, as its writer. So a lot of it, okay, that, maybe this, considering how great Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was, and how Sunrise on the Reaping looks, and Now You See Me 3 was indeed a movie. Um, Honestly, this might actually be the first good Fast and Furious movie. If they get someone as good as this instead of, generic dude number 77 to write their movie. So that's good, I guess, to maybe, fantastic, almost said Fantastic Four, Fast and Furious fans. However, the thing that a lot of people are brought up already is, well, what does that mean for X-Men? Because Michael Leslie is also the writer for the upcoming X-Men movie. So, are you gonna play nice, Caleb? Come on now. Don't besmirch Bruce Lee. I will ban your ass if you do it again. So just hold your tongue. But yeah, because if like Jake Schreier we know is directing, but Vin Diesel did write this on on his Instagram for Fast Forever, all about the finale and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. So but well, it's been reported that he's working on the upcoming X-Men reboot for Marvel Studios. This latest update states that he has also been in talks to work on the movie. That seems to imply something has changed since Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier came on board to helm. This could be a poor choice of wording on the trade's part, or an indication that the X-Men movie isn't quite as far along as we thought. So maybe this might mean trouble for the X-Men movie, whether it's actually really not happening as soon as we think. Maybe Michael Leslie is going to write this first and then go to X-Men, or he's been writing X-Men in the background and now he's going to focus on this. Um, you know, uh, to me, my family, yes. Um, but uh, but yeah, but yeah, I think this is definitely an interesting course of events because you know um I don't see X-Men. Yeah, because well, MTG, that was the original thing, and we're going to be getting into more of that soon because we do have a bit of release schedule stuff to talk about. But yeah, so it seems like Fast Forever is going to be the one that Michael Leslie is going to be writing while, he's not focusing on X-Men for right now. Yeah, that's true. Also because Dan is being obnoxious in the chat, gotta do this.
You don't turn your back on family.
Turned back his back on the X-Men, and now he's doing a much lesser franchise. Oh well, but that's okay. But yeah. Next up, we have a little bit of this. Now, if you don't remember, Tom Cruise was, I believe Sean Levy was talking about this, how Tom Cruise filmed an action sequence for Star Wars Starfighter. So this is what specifically happened. Apparently, Tom Cruise interrupted filming of Star Wars Starfighter by landing a helicopter on set. He heard that Sean Levy was directing another movie. He's like, oh no, I can't let this happen. So Tom Cruise flew his helicopter onto set and they were just shooting and they heard a helicopter and they had to cut. It was Tom Cruise. He lands in the middle of set. He takes a camera and just starts shooting an action scene. Like, I guess if anybody can get away with it, it's Tom Cruise. So, also, thank you very much. We finally got to 100,000 subscribers, but ride's not over yet. Let's get to 1 million. Let's go. But here's the interesting part about this story is apparently Ryan Gosling wasn't there. I wasn't there. My one day off. Sean sends me a picture of him and Tom Cruise. There's like a shot of him in the mud shooting Flynn. I don't know why he waited until the one day I wasn't there. I hope that was an accident. So yeah, unfortunately, while, a lot of people got to bear witness to the greatness of Cruise, Ryan Gosling did not. So honestly, that's really funny. But I just love how wait, you're telling me Sean Levy is directing another movie? I have to go down there and stop it. Well, I'll do what I can. I'll just shoot this one action sequence. Hopefully it's something. And then he went and filmed it. Uh, but yeah, oof. Sean Levy, like out of all the Star Wars movies, you're like, no, not Patty Jenkins, nah. Ryan Johnson, no. Taika Waititi's, no. Which honestly, that's a good thing. But you're like, okay, let's go with Sean Levy. It's like, okay, he brought $1 billion to Marvel. Let's try to do the same thing for Star Wars. And it's like, okay, you do realize why Deadpool and Wolverine made $1 billion. It wasn't Sean Levy's direction. I'll just keep it at that. But speaking of Warner Brothers, I don't know. Warner Brothers lands AI-themed playground for Timothée Chalamet and Plan B. So Plan B, I believe, is Brad Pitt's production company. But Warner Brothers has closed a film rights deal for the New York Times bestseller Playground by Richard Powers, Plan B, Timothée Chalamet, and Brian Swardstrom are attached to produce. Nothing will happen until it's developed, but Chalamet has first crack at starring as the central character. Playground follows Todd Keane and his two best friends from the University of Illinois through the tech boom of Silicon Valley to phosphate-mined Polynesian island Makatia. The story explores love, friendship, and the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence. Honestly, it kind of sounds boring. I don't know if I'd watch that, but hey, we'll see if Warner Brothers is still a decent company in the near future. So, we will see. But that is not the only thing that we will be talking about. Of course, we have to get into what is only known as the weekly show that's no longer weekly. That's MCU Weekly. So, let's get into it, shall we? So we've been kind of going and talking about, Spider-Man Brand New Day. And the first thing was something a little bit funnier. In this, they sacrificed a Russo brother to get this color. And the only thing I ask is what color? Because it's kind of looking brown, kind of looking gray. I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks brighter and more dynamic than a Russo brother movie, which looks like, you know, it just shit gray all over the camera. But, like, I will admit, I think they mean lighting, because this is some good dynamic lighting. Not gonna lie. It looks pretty good. But come on, guys. It's not color, because it's just brown, green, and the only thing that has color is Spider-Man. So I'm just saying. Ugh. I'm just saying, you know. Um, but um, but yeah. So just something a little bit funnier. But they also revealed the letter that he wrote MJ slash Michelle. Um, you know, what I initially thought is that in the preview, um, but I thought that the thing he was narrating was the letter that he was talking about here. I thought it because it like, "Hi, my name is Peter Parker." Yeah, exactly. I thought that, oh, that's what it is. But it looks like it's different. Somebody said, "Hi, my name." This is the actual letter that was in the trailer, but not as the narration. It's like, "Hi, my name is Peter Parker, and you don't remember me, but I have something to tell you that's going to sound crazy, but it's the truth. And I know you're going to believe me because you're very good at telling when I'm lying. We used to know each other, we were together, but something bad was going to happen to the world, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget me, including you." So it has like a little bit of it, but it's not exactly the same. So I think it's like bits and pieces of the letter, but not totally. And unfortunately, I have to move my camera because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man, and sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. Maybe I'll never read this to you. Maybe I'm just writing this for me. Maybe that's my responsibility to live alone with the world. But the truth is, I love you, and I hope that deep down, something inside you remembers you love me too. So it's not like totally 100% the letter, but um yeah, so it looks like it's bits and pieces of the letter, because I like skimmed it. I'm like, oh, that's not what he said in the thriller. But now reading it through, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's only bits and pieces. Like, um, he says like the first sentence, and then like, we used to know each other. I'm Spider-Man. Sometimes have to do the hard thing, and then and that's it. Like, he doesn't do most of the first paragraph, and I think the last two paragraphs. So yeah. Um Honestly, can you really blame Marvel? I mean, there's when it comes to comics, it's always the status quo. It's no consequences. Like, there's rarely ever consequences. So there is that. So yeah. Um but Boss Logic made this little poster of the first shot of that was shown in the trailer, which was Peter hanging upside down, and you can see that he has a Pokemon card here, a little bit of the Venom symbiote, a bit of bubblegum, and a Nelson and Murdoch business card, as well as him being attached by his ankles, and then a bit of Nike. Oh, it's Miles Morales. No, it's not. Calm down. It's a fan made poster. But yeah, this looks really good. I like this. I like this. Honestly, it's Boss Logic. He's really good. Of course he's gonna do great things. So uh well, we don't know. Obviously, we don't know, but like, I'm willing to bet on they're probably going to make it so that they do remember and they get back together. That's most likely going to be the case. Is that 100% definitely going to be the case? No, but you know, I yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I hope they don't, but like, maybe this is like kind of like an epilogue where of that relationship where it's like he's finally like, you know what, I need to move on. I can't, I'm miserable and lonely without them, but I don't want to be stuck in the past either. I have a future as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So, but I mean, it's not that easy when like the people you love forget who you are. Ugh. That's obviously going to be sad, and it's going to be hard to do. So, honestly, yeah, you're right. But next up, apparently, according to a fan theory, because this is fan theory at most, Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer may reveal what Spidey was doing during Thunderbolts. So, you know how in that like montage where it's like, oh, the recreates Jack Kirby's Amazing Fantasy number 15 cover. Well, many fans are convinced that the scene is set during the Sentry's attack on New York in Thunderbolts that saw Bob inadvertently unleash the Void, and it seems Spidey is swinging into action to try and save people as the darkness begins to spread. Now, we also think this could be a moody day in the Big Apple, meant to replicate the cover's background, but it's a compelling theory. Yeah, it's like, it's a theory, but hey, that's just it. A theory. Thanks for watching. So, yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, guys, like, come on, it's just a cloudy day. This has nothing to do with Thunderbolts. This is bullshit. It's dumb. Y'all need to fucking calm down. Hey, it's a theory, a film theory. Thanks for watching. I think most people do at this point. As somebody said, make Black Cat the love interest or Gwen Stacy and just do a reversal. Or fuck it, make it the real MJ and just have it be like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. I think that would be kind of funny. But next up, obviously we've talked about this in the past, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. But apparently, they pulled, a No Way Home, which it seems to be more obvious as the days go by. But this hole right here, even though a lot of the I almost said the Foot Clan, Jesus Christ, the Hand are going towards this big empty space. It's like, huh? Why is that? Some of them are going towards Spider-Man, but some are going towards this big empty spot right here, or hell, even you have this and this, so there might even be 3 people because we talked about how there might be one with it being Daredevil, but there might be another one. Maybe it's Punisher. Maybe it's didn't like Muse, isn't that one? Or like White Tiger? It's probably another one, right? Yeah, that sounds about right. Sure. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. They probably edited stuff out. In No Way Home, it was a lot more obvious because you could see Lizard getting decked by nothing. Here, it's just the way that the eyes move. So if it's not the case, then sure, but like, why would you show so much empty space? Like, that's a lot of empty space right there. That's like, why wouldn't you center Spider-Man? Or like, why would there be so much white space here? Like, come on, that's very empty. So, that's I agree with this theory. The fucking like Thunderbolts theory is kind of bullshit, but this maybe it's just a bad shot. That's entirely possible, but like at the same time, I think, I think they digitally remove some things. Nobody did. It was very dumb, and they only did it because it's Zendaya and she was popular at the time. Still is popular, but especially at the time. Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much the case. I mean, duh. They probably edited some people out, so there we go. Then we have Tom Holland reveals how mature Spider-Man Brand New Day's take on the Spider-Man Punisher relationship changed while filming. So, the first trailer offered some hints about their dynamic, and we now have some new details directly from Peter Parker himself, Tom Holland. In his first interview since the teaser dropped earlier this week, the actor revealed that what fans can expect from the iconic duo. I think one of the things I've enjoyed most about my tenure as Spider-Man is sharing the screen with Robert Downey Jr. and really building that Spider-Man Iron Man relationship, even though it's basically non-existent in the comics. But I am so excited for people to see John Bernthal as the, although John spelled wrong because he spells it Jon, as the Punisher in this movie. You know, he's come from a very different world. He's in the R-rated universe, and we've basically picked him up and plonked him into our world, and he absolutely sings in this movie. Hopefully not literally. He is incredible. The relationship between Spider-Man and the Punisher is so funny, and it changed a lot, and it evolved a lot as we were shooting because John and I would improvise. It started as this relationship of two people that really kind of hate each other, I guess, and then as we started improvising, it became this big brother, little brother rivalry, and it might be my favorite dynamic that I've seen with Spider-Man. You know, tonally, the movie feels more mature. I think what the characters are going through is definitely something that young people will relate to. That's kind of the idea of Spider-Man. I'm really excited to see what people think. I think it's our best one. So, yeah, I I will say, well, also hi Dan.
Hello.
While I am more excited, well, I didn't really like most of the like Avengers characters in the other movies because they didn't really make a ton of sense to me. This at least makes sense. Both are street level characters. They do have a bit of a relationship with the comics, same with Bruce Banner. So I feel like that makes more sense and it makes the world more lived in. Well, I feel like, you know, him like being like Iron Man Jr. gonna cry. It just didn't feel right. It just felt very out of character for Peter. And so it just felt weird and wonky to me, and I never really quite liked it. Here, it like okay, it makes sense. It shows how how much farther Peter has come as a character. Like he's like, all right, Frank, go home. Like he's like talking like that. While instead of like being like, oh hello, Senpai Stark, please notice me. It feels more, yeah, as he said, more mature. It feels more lived in, and I kind of like that idea. Yes, you could categorize it as, oh, they're forcing Marvel cameos because that's what they have to do with the deal with Sony, but it still feels more natural than what was done before. So I'll give them that. Maybe it's just better writing. Who knows?
Hi, Caleb, and everybody else in the chat, Tony as well, of course. Uh, you guys can hear me well? I don't know how I
Yeah, you
sound.
sound
Do I
good.
sound? Okay. Uh, no, I mean, look, to add on to what you were saying, I think John Bernthal was only out in the UK for like week, maybe 2 weeks at most, filming this. So I can't imagine that he's got a huge part to play in the movie, and most likely he's probably there for like a sequence. So a sequence being more than a scene, but like he's probably in a part of the movie. I don't know, maybe he's in a few different parts of the movie, but I can't imagine Punisher would be like the central. It doesn't feel like, John, based on at least the trailer so far, that the Punisher is being, or even Bruce Banner for that matter, is being pitched as, you know, like the Tony Stark Iron Man or Doctor
Right.
Strange Avengers. You know, like, oh, we need a bigger brother for the younger Spider, like you just said. So, but nonetheless, I love seeing the chemistry because clearly you could tell like the two had fun, and you don't need to be
I mean,
working
plus
together
they also
for.
work together on the Odyssey, so that definitely helped
Yeah,
too.
like it's exactly like they've got a lot of rapport, I think is the word, with each other, or because like exactly like they spent a lot more time going through a lot more trials and tribulations working on the Odyssey. I mean, they were on real ships in real water in real Mediterranean Sea. So compare, I mean, not, look, they were in the streets of Glasgow that was being dressed as New York, and that's also fun. But yeah, one movie has a lot more CGI than the other one, but you know, I'm sure they had a lot of fun with it. And what I'm excited to see is, like you said, John, before I hopped on, I was listening. Like, I'm curious, like what those other, they're most likely other Defenders characters, or maybe it's Sadie Sink's character that we're not seeing in that shot with the hand. Maybe, you know what? Have you thought about it? Maybe it's the Hulk next to. No, that doesn't make sense. You just need the Hulk. he could probably take out all of the ninjas himself. Just now I'm sort of like thinking
Well,
out
to be
loud
fair,
here.
they've nerfed Hulk in the past, so there's that.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah,
Well, good stuff. Daredevil Born Again season 3 is already in production, by the right. So
Yeah.
they're keeping on every year, once a year. By the way, the
Very
pit
much so,
episode
but-
this week was like really, really well done. Is what I'll say.
Okay.
Kind of leave it at that.
but now we have Daredevil Born Again. Speaking of Punisher, we got some behind the scenes photos of season 3. So obviously it can't really show much. You kind of just see crowds of people and like kind of it.
Not a ton here to look at, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, not a ton to look at, but you know, it's something I guess. So cool. Way to go, season 3. But like I guess it shows that they're filming, so that's nice. But not the only thing. But apparently, much like that famous Frank Miller Daredevil cover, the Man Without Fear wields a gun in action-packed teaser. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, I don't know if we can.
thing?
I don't know if we can see it, but apparently, according to this, he is. You know, a new clip from Daredevil Born Again has been released, but it's a tad unconventional. Shared by WWE commenters Michael Cole and Kilroy Graves on X, the action-packed fight between the Man Without Fear and the Anti-Vigilante Task Force features pro wrestling style commentary over the top of it. It works surprisingly well, press X to doubt, but that's far from the biggest talking point. In a surprise moment, the hero is shown disarming one of Mayor Wilson Fisk's corrupt thugs before pointing their assault rifle right back at them. They freeze, Daredevil flashes a smile, and proceeds to beat them both with the weapon. Matt Murdock is no Punisher, but it's a wild sight to see him with a gun in hand. He previously had a handgun taped to his hand by Frank Castle way back in Daredevil Season 2 on Netflix. As the fight plays out, we get a good look at Matt Murdock's new suit in the press notes for Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Charlie Cox opened up on how old Hornhead's look has evolved in the MCU, and I'm not reading all of that, so... But yeah, I mean, he does name drop Shadowland, which is not a good comic series, but I feel like that's what they're kind of, maybe they'll make it better, but I feel like that's kind of where they're going, especially the fact that there's the hand in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So there's that. But we finally got the double D's, baby. We got the double D's. That's all we care about. Let's fucking go. So, but yeah, I think this is kind of a weird way to do it, but hey, whatever works, and it's out of the ordinary, but
well, I'm sure this is like, again, WWE does a lot of like cross promotion stuff, so like I'm sure they were promoting this because the target demographics are overlapping quite a bit. You have a younger male skewing demographic that watches a lot of WWE on Netflix, by the way. I think this was part of a Monday Night Raw thing, maybe, I don't know, on X, whatever. Those two guys I think work Monday Night Raw. And yeah, I love double D's. Triple D's preferred, but but anyway, so it kind of makes sense that Daredevil Born Again, they're doing a cross, because like that's a lot of the same people they would expect would be watching the show. So yeah. Hey Kyle, you know what? We'll get to that soon. Unless did you talk about that already? The movie dates for Marvel?
Not yet. No.
Okay. All right. But no, this is fun. I wasn't expecting Daredevil to shoot anybody with the gun, but he disarmed.
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of like how in Halloween 4, where Michael Myers is holding a shotgun, you're like, is this motherfucker gonna use a gun? And then he just fucking stabs someone through a wall with it, and I'm like, that's Michael. Okay.
Yeah.
But we do have another little rumor claims another familiar defender will return. Spoilers. In a recent post on X, trailer and runtime leaker Cryptic 4K Qual, who's kind of hit and miss, responded to speculation about Iron Fist and Elektra appearing in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 by saying that while Danny Rand does not appear this time, he is coming back. You'll definitely see a certain someone by the end of the show. Who could it be? Well, while there is a possible name floating around on social media, we aren't going to spoil it here. Still, we did recently get a pretty powerful hint, and this promises to make Daredevil Born Again Season 2 an even bigger must-watch than it already is. So... cool. Who do you think it is, Dan? Do you think it's Danny Rand? Do you think it's Luke Cage? Do you think it's somebody else?
I mean, By the way, am I sounding okay? Like, I don't know if my audio is good. I was gonna say, I think it's probably most likely Luke Cage. Like, remember, this is going all the way back to season one. Um, season, the promotion for season one of Daredevil Born Again. One of the first things they put out, I think, was like a teaser poster, like a motion poster, and it had like the boxing gym that that's connected to Luke Cage's backstory, and like where that name was hidden in there, and people called it out really early on, and of course we really never got Luke Cage. So I think they've been building up to that for a while. Mike Coulter has been obviously trying to like brush off the rumor. I think he's the most likely other one we see. And then they'll build out from there, because like there's the whole thing of like, do we want to go with the same Iron Fist or not? Like, do we want to bring back the same Elektra and stuff? I think with Luke Cage, it's like, like, boom, there it is. Like, like that's the most likely, I think, option here.
Boom,
So,
you looking for this?
yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I was looking for.
That joke
Like
kills every time. Tony.
every time. It's like, I would like when he does it later on, it's like, boom, you're looking for this, and the guy's like, ha ha ha. He's like, yeah. Like, yeah, Don Cheadle, you go. Now pull out your British accent and you'll impress them even more. Anyway.
But this is what the people were talking about in terms of Marvel Studio dates 3
This is
mystery
big.
films for 2028/2029 and removes 2 from the schedule. So apparently, I would say they removed it. They kind of just changed it around. But obviously 2026 has Spider-Man and Doomsday. Then 2027 is just Secret Wars, and then 2028, instead of February 18th and May 5th, it's May 5th and July 28th, and then as well as December 15th, instead of November 10th. Well, the new one is July 28th, so it got rid of. So instead of having 4, it's 3, and one of those changed. So then we're gonna have also 2 more movies for May 4th, 2029, July 13th, 2029. What does this exactly mean? We don't know yet, but it seems like Marvel has more and more confidence for Doomsday, because this is right after like Spider-Man broke records and all that stuff. So I think, because we were talking about, I remember us talking about this way back when we were like a couple months ago at this point, where we were like, well, there's not much on the docket for anything after Secret Wars, and it's like, does that
Pretty much
mean they're
nothing.
not confident? Does that
No.
mean they're
Yeah.
worried? Does that mean this,
Mhm.
that, and the other thing? But now it shows that no, they're not worried anymore, because 718 million views.
Well, I mean, but
in
like, here's the
24
thing.
hours.
To be fair, to kind of like talk onto what you're saying, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer broke the Avengers Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame trailer records. But that didn't mean that No Way Home made more money than Endgame. Now, obviously, I think Endgame is always going to be the exception to the norm, because when it comes to just box office numbers, Avengers Endgame made a shit ton of money, not just because it was the movie that it was, but it was a culmination of more than 10 plus years of people watching, the MCU. So that being said, I think like Endgame will always feel like an anomaly. It's similar to the Force Awakens. The Force Awakens domestic box office alone was almost $1 billion. That number, I don't think, will ever get surpassed by any other movie in terms of a single movie making that much money in North America, US and Canada. So when you look at all of those things, I mean, the Doomsday is going to be big, and Spider-Man Brand New Day will probably be really big. Maybe it can make 2 billion. I think that there's still like the chance. I mean, 1.9 billion is a big number. So, but that all being said, John, I agree with you that I think this is Disney, Marvel looking at it, the upcoming calendar, because here's the thing. Up until now, publicly, they had or up until recently, publicly didn't. I mean, look, these dates are still just dates. If you scroll down, I think they have like a list of them, so that we can kind of like visually show what's there and what's no longer there. But essentially, like you look at it, I think it's like you said, it's addition by subtraction in a way. And I'm kind of going the long way around the point I'm trying to make, but give me a moment, I'll get there. So obviously we have, Brand New Day coming out this year, then you have Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars. Those are the three movies we know are coming out on those dates. Cinco de Mayo in 2028, or Cinco de Mayo, if I say it the proper way. Why I say Cinco de Mayo? Anyway, May 5th, 2028 is the date that they're holding on to. Then they've added the July date, which is pretty much the same weekend as Spider-Man Brand New Day this year, July 28, 2028. And then December 15, 2028 was always going to be something they were going to do, which is basically the same weekend as these upcoming two Avengers movies. You know what that tells me is because Disney doesn't plan on releasing an Avatar movie in December 2028. So, because usually Disney's got like one of their big tentpoles coming, like whether it's a Star Wars movie, an Avengers movie, or sorry, a big Marvel movie, could be an Avengers movie, or it's, an Avatar movie. So it tells me that they're not doing an Avatar movie. They're not doing, a big, what was the other one I just mentioned? Anyway, they're not doing another, Star Wars movie that December. It's going to be a Marvel film. Most likely some kind of team up, some big character, most likely an Avengers movie. And then of course in so like you said, addition by subtraction, because they previously had 2 dates, and now they've added a new date into 2020. So actually no, they previously had 4 dates in 2028. February and November are now both gone, but they've instead added a July date. So now there's 3 instead of 4, but I don't think they were going to do 4 because Kevin Feige has been saying for a couple of years now, they're trying to get away from the quantity over quality problem. So 4 movies in 1 year, I think he was like, it's going to be rare you'll see that. And like this year is an example of that, right? I don't even think DC wants to get to a point where they're putting out 4 movies in a single year. The last time they did that, pretty much none of the movies, maybe Aquaman 2 was the only one that was profitable. All the other ones lost money. And even for Marvel, I can't think of a year. I think the most they did in the heyday, it was like 3 movies a year. And if they did 4, it was like right like in peak phase 3. So all that being said, I mean 2029, those are 2 brand new dates. Like those 2 days didn't exist before. So May and July, those are prime spots.
Possibly even brand new days.
Sequel, just another day, or something like that, or the next day, or the day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Yes, John, you just did say all of that, and I'm trying to like find my way around that conversation. Clearly, I don't listen to you when you talk, but anyway, we know like one of the movies in 2028 is probably like so. Okay, so now getting to what I was trying to get at truly was unofficially Marvel has been working on an X-Men movie, a Black Panther sequel. Ryan Coogler has pretty much said as much. Denzel Washington spoiled that he's going to be in the movie. So X-Men, Black Panther 3. What were the other ones? Because like people keep thinking maybe Doctor Strange 3. That's potentially because you gotta finish the trilogy, which that would be the most disjointed trilogy of all time. Because the first movie to the second has such a big gap in terms of continuity. I guess Mordo comes back, so there's some continuity, and Wong's in there. But
actually fucking make him the villain this time, which they promised at the end of the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so there's dates. Like, do we want to try to put names on these films? Like, there's 5 dates now between 2028 and 2029.
So, what we can do?
That could work. 2 months apart.
We can make it a fan cast Friday.
That's actually that would be a really creative way to do that. Yeah,
like kind of sort of a fan cast Friday, but like each of them have a date.
Yeah.
So, and then any other like honorable mentions, honestly, I'd be down for it. We'll put that in the next poll. I'll write it down.
I think there'll be a lot of fun. I think you guys can give us some really good ideas too, because I mean, right off the top of my head, I mean, I can come up with 5 names because there's like, obviously maybe they revived the Blade project. Maybe they did do the Midnight Suns movie. They're definitely doing an X-Men movie, which you just mentioned earlier in the show. The writer for that movie may not be actually the writer for that movie that he's working on Fast Forever. Which has a similar timeline as well coming out in terms, I think it's 2028. They're both set for 2028. or potentially. We don't know X-Men's release date yet, but I would say that July 28th is most likely that X-Men release date, because you're gonna put it in the most prime spot. Black Panther will make money any time of year, so I'd imagine they could probably put that out on May 5th. But then again, it would depend on what the December movie would be. I mean, there's been rumors that they're working on on a Wolverine movie, but like the question then immediately becomes, well, who's gonna play Wolverine in this movie, in that potential X? Because I don't think Marvel needs to have Wolverine involved in the X-Men.
They don't.
Like they did back in the day. Like I think you and I agree. Like you mentioned it before. Just let Wolverine do his own thing, and then he eventually crosses paths, and then kind of build it from there. But because like quite frankly, like we know, like in the Fox X-Men movies, Wolverine sort of, not like Hugh Jackman was trying to do this, but it's like the Wolverine character sort of hijacks the X-Men and the narrative almost completely, to the point Cyclops got sidelined for the majority of that
because
original
Cyclops
trilogy.
fucking sucks anyway, but that's beside the point.
Well, I mean, if you're a fan of the animated show and stuff, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to see more Cyclops and more of those characters. Like even Rogue, I feel like was like undercooked in a lot of those films. So
yeah, but it was hard to give her like her actual powers because in the comics and in the animated show, she stole them from Miss Marvel, and they couldn't exactly show that in the Fox universe because they didn't have the rights. So it was just like, I bet.
Well, that's not a problem anymore.
You could have been like, oh, she gained a second mutation and she got like actual powers.
Mhm.
You could have found a way around it, but I get why they didn't. So
yeah. Well, no, that would be a great idea though for Fancast Friday. Actually, I think that I'd love to do that. I mean, not tonight, but and hello to Ron, Eid Mubarak to everybody. Yeah, I literally am at my parents' place, and so I drove up and then shoved food in my mouth and just got set up to go. I'm sorry, like the timing didn't quite work out with the start of the show, but no, hello Ron, and hope you had a good day.
What they should do, if they make a Wolverine solo movie, the only way I would perfectly accept that is if it's training X-23 to be the next Wolverine, and then like either Hugh Jackman's retires, dies, whatever the fuck, and then have her be the new Wolverine. I know you're gonna have all the fucking sexist dickheads being like, "Oh, she's not really the suck a dick. She's Wolverine in the comics." Cry and co-part her and go fucking jerk off to the Rule 34 of it, you loser. So just just make her Wolverine. It's easy. Like, you have the actress, she wants to do it. You can, with how like this all is gonna happen, it's probably gonna be a soft reboot. I mean, that's what they've. Kevin Feige has said pretty much that it's probably going to be a soft reboot. So just have it be like, okay, huge, like that version of Wolverine.
Huge jacked man.
Huge jacked man. He was Wolverine at one point in this iteration. Fine, whatever. And then, but X-23 is the Wolverine now. So just deal with it. Goddamn.
The thing is, like, the MCU was... Look, we're talking about the same MCU that's giving us RDJ as Doctor Doom, which may not be the only iteration of Doctor Doom we get. Like down the road, they might do another Doctor Doom after the reboot. Because you got to wonder, if he's doing a soft reboot gives you the license to literally kind of pick and choose what you want to keep and not keep, right? So I'd imagine the situation would almost play out like where they I think Kevin Feige said this himself last year during that Fantastic Four promotional interview that he did with like this all the press. Hey Sanju. No, we'll get to, we actually just talked about it. It's 2028 and 2029. That's where we're talking about. They've just added an extra date for 2028. Well, actually 3 movies now instead of 4, but there were no movies for 2029. They got 2. So there's 5 movies now past Avengers Secret Wars that we know about. Well, the dates. We don't know what movies will be playing there. But no, as I was saying, it's Kevin Feige has been if you're doing a soft reboot, you can choose to reboot certain characters over the others. So like it will all depend on how hard of a reset it is. Like, do you keep the Fox continuity? Because right now the Fox continuity or whatever variations of it are clearly part of the MCU. So post Secret Wars, do you want to continue with that Wolverine iteration and then have Daphne Keane take over? I don't even know, like, because I mean Daphne Keane's always going to play it down. Like, do you even think that Marvel would want to have her around, like, for multiple movies? Do you
Maybe.
think that
I don't
she
know.
would be up for it? Because if you were doing a Daphne Keane-led X-23 Wolverine, then you probably want to sign her to a multi-picture deal. I mean, for all we know, she already did that.
We'll
It's
see.
just, I guess again, like if they keep her separate from the X-Men, the main, X-Men team, then I think it's more plausible than if they were to like have a Wolverine that's part of the X-Men. Then I think they're more likely to reboot that character as well. I guess that's where I'll leave it for now. So
Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, neither do I. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But the next and final thing we have, probably the best Marvel story we have
Can't believe you came
today
across this.
is I mean, Marvel's been doing this since the 90s. I think they took a break because enough people like fucking complained, but now I'm pretty sure they brought it back. And that's the Marvel swimsuit special.
I feel like we talked about this before. Like a year ago, was it a DC thing? I feel like there was definitely one of these things.
Did something similar, but Marvel usually does the Marvel swimsuit special. Both my hands are on my desk, so don't be naughty, guys. But they are doing get your superhero beach bods ready, and the Marvel swimsuit special is back at it again. You could see it right here in all of its glory.
Hello. I didn't even scroll this far down.
You have Spider-Man, you have that looks like Gwen Stacy, you have Black Cat, you have I think that's Silk, Spider-Woman. I'm pretty sure it's all like Spider-Man characters. Pretty sure that's Miles Morales. You have Venom, you have Aunt May. I mean, come on, that's the Dude, Stone Cold Gilf right there. Let's go.
I can beat you all day. Like this is totally
I can beat you with both hands. But yeah, this is
very Ken friendly.
Yeah, you even have, She-Hulk and Wasp, Black Widow,
Dude,
Scarlet Witch.
Joke.
I don't know who that is.
Like, no joke, for the wrestling fans in the chat, this reminds me of like 2006 SummerSlam marketing and the posters they did for that. Like,
I'm sure dudes with like foot fetishes are like fucking going ham right now. So, I'm
like, is this the calendar? Like, what is this? How do we get this? What is this?
So the Marvel swimsuit special has been like a staple of.
I knew you were LeBron.
It's been like they've done it a couple times, but then I think they brought it back. And it's essentially just like kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing, like, oh, it's funny that we're doing like a swimsuit special, but it's for Marvel characters instead of not. So it's they made it's long awaited return. Last year, Friends, Foes, and Rivals, and now they're doing brand new Beach Day. Ha ha ha, very cute. But it's like cute stories of like, isn't this like thing kind of funny? And it's like, oh, we're doing a swimsuit special with like Marvel characters. It's just like, it's kind of a funny thing you don't really take seriously all that much.
Wait, hold on. So is this a comic? Like, is this like, can we pick this up?
It's a comic.
It's a comic. Yeah, so if
I go to the cover and they have a comic for it, and yeah.
So if I go to my friendly neighborhood comic book store, I can grab a copy of this.
Yes.
Got it.
Or just pirate it like a normal person, since everything's too expensive.
No, dude, I got Comixology. I actually pay my way through college.
Magic should be included. Yeah.
Jazz hands.
But anyway. But yeah, this is just really fun to see, and just I don't know, like I always found this thing to be hilarious. It's just like so ridiculous.
This is great. So I should have put this in the thumbnail. I still have time.
If you feel sorry for the married guys, then you're high. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anywho. But
I should change the thumbnail
good stuff. Good stuff.
Never mind. Too late.
We're gonna walk that way. Slowly, and then
at a time when Fox is working on their Baywatch reboot. This is great. Now Kevin Feige, let's do this IRL, please. Like that's the next logical step.
They'll scream it's like sexist and terrible because I don't know, insert reason here. Anyway, but next up we have TVTalk Terror. We're gonna go into a lot of TV things, not a lot, but like mainly the Assassin's Creed series setting and exact time period are confirmed. Apparently the live action Assassin's Creed series, which will hopefully be better than the movie, will be set in ancient Rome and kick off in the year 64
Of our
AD.
Lord.
Various
Oh, right.
reports had pointed to a Roman Empire set series previously, though Ubisoft today confirmed the exact time period and setting via a post on social media alongside a recap of the show's large cast, which is right here. We have so many people, I have no fucking clue who they are. I know Sean Harris. I know Claes Bang. I know Numi Rapace, but I think that's it.
Sean Harris, right? Sean Harris. You know, he was in
Yeah.
the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, he was
Did you
in
just put him?
Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation and Fallout.
Yeah. I'm really trying to recognize some of the other ones. Maybe like Naban Rizwan. I think I recognize him from something. Tazin Crawford, Zachary Hart. Okay. Laura Marcus I've seen in something for sure, and then Toby Wallace I recognize as well. Lola Pettigrew, I saw she was like, there was a casting thing about her in a different movie the other day. Yeah, I mean obviously like there's a couple of really recognizable names. Clice Bang, like you said. Who? Yeah, there's a lot of who in this,
but hey, they don't want to spend the money after the last Assassin's Creed adaptation failed. They don't want to exactly spend the money on this, so.
I mean, they did go all out with
the industry.
They did really go out all out on that because, I mean, what was the? What am I forgetting? Marion Cotillard and Michael Fassbender, and then Keira Knightley. They did really. God, like, why was that movie so bad? Every time I watch it, I'm just kind of like lost. I'm like, what?
Because Laura Marcus is going to be in Sunrise on the Reaping. That's
what I was thinking. Okay, there we go. I'm like, I've seen some of these names before. Lola Pettigrew sounds like a Chamber of Secrets character. Pettigrew. It's a cool name though. It's a great name, Lola. Don't change it. It's very memorable. That's what casting directors like.
Yes. But the last bit of TV Talk Terror is Brian Michael Bendis's superhero crime comic Powers getting adult animation treatment from Netflix Dark Horse Entertainment. Bendis and co-creator Michael Avon Oeming are participating in the show's development. Now, if you remember from many years ago in the late 2010s, there was a previous adaptation with Sharlto Copley, where he played someone who used to have superpowers, but then I think he lost them, and now he's a detective trying to, bust people who have superpowers who are doing criminal activities. But that was made for the PlayStation Network back when like PlayStation was trying to do streaming service stuff. It was on for 2 seasons, and then it.
That was the first streaming service to die. Yeah, that was the first streaming service to die. And
yeah, although I mean, PlayStation Network's still around. They just don't produce movies and shows.
I mean, they have a PlayStation Studios that's basically like a DC studio. So they do. I mean, so obviously they make movies. I mean, that's how they. What's the latest thing that they did?
Last of Us.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is kind of cool. I mean, if you like this comic and that sort of thing, then cool.
The power of Bendis
Keith
compels
Goldberg
you,
and Chris Tung are also executively producing.
Mm-hmm.
The creators are producing as well. But combining the tropes of the superhero genre with the police procedural genre, aka what Lanterns is essentially doing, Powers follows 2 Chicago homicide detectives, Christian Walker and Dina Pilgrim, who work in cases involving superpowers. But
bless you.
Yeah, very nice, very cool.
Yeah,
but as we know, Susan Hayward starred in the show as well. But yeah.
By the way, Brian Michael Bendis is probably the coolest name of any comic writer I've ever heard of. Like, it's like the coolest sounding. His name sounds like a sci-fi movie. I don't know. I'm just cool.
I'm not a big Brian Michael Bendis fan. Like, he's fine, but like, I mean, he's not, Tom King levels, but.
No, well, I mean, but, Tom King is in his own domain, John. Like, you know that.
Yeah. It's called hell. That's where he.
I was gonna make a Tier List Tuesday reference, then I realized it's Friday, so never mind. We just gotta keep the train chugging along.
But yeah, that's it for TV Talk Terror. That's kind of.
Hey, are we getting to the quick hits?
Now we're getting into the quick hits.
Yes. You're not wrong, Ron.
But let's move along. First bit, major CBS News layoffs begin under Bari Weiss's restructuring plan. Oh, joy. The cuts were revealed Friday morning to network news employees, including the shuttering of CBS News Radio after 100 years. This is the man that's going to own WB, guys. Aren't you excited? Great. So good.
Yeah, well, what's going on at CBS News is like my biggest source of concern for what Paramount might do or not do with Warner Brothers. Because, look, am I saying like what they're doing over at CBS News means that's what their same approach with Warner Brothers pictures and stuff? No, but it does worry you because I know a lot of people personally who work for CBS News and other like vestiges of it. They also shut down CBS News Radio after 100 years. You know, like people, like some of the most iconic journalists and voices that eventually made it onto television started in CBS News Radio. I forget if Walter Cronkite started it, but like they're just, you know, it's like they're like, who cares about legacy or prestige? I mean, like, here's the thing though, like I get the CBS News Radio stuff, but it's just never good to see people losing their jobs. And clearly they're restructuring, you know, like I understand, you know, but like it just sucks when people lose their jobs. And then for me, it's everything else around the layoffs. And like under Barry's leadership, I don't know where CBS News is headed. It's certainly not
good place
where it was before. Yeah, exactly. Like what you said. So, yeah.
But next up, so Garfield reposted this thing about some kitties stuck in a bag. And
this is so funny. You know, Georgie looks like the kitty on the left, except if I fed her like twice the amount of food I do every day.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many videos of my cats I was showing my family today. And then like they groom each other, they fight with each other, and it's the cutest thing ever. So yeah, I can never force my cats into anything that small.
Yeah, it reminds me of Argyle with the fucking cat bag.
But I get it, Garfield. This is what Garfield would be doing with Otis.
Yeah, played by Lamorne Morris. Anyway, but this is a big thing. I mean, this seems pretty obvious when you say it out loud. Prime Video touts India as most important global market. It's like, yeah, I mean, they have the second highest population in the world.
No,
so
they have the highest. It's the highest.
It is the highest now. I still thought.
China it's been a couple of years now. Like they actually outpaced China, because China is actually on a bit of a not decline, but they're sort of tapered off. So India has the highest population. But yeah, exactly, Ron. But like the other thing beyond that is it's not just the highest population, which obviously is a big factor, but in terms of its presence in the media business worldwide, obviously like Indian cinema has been iconic for decades. People know that. I think there's more appreciation for it today, but it is literally the largest market. Because for example, I'll just give you this as an example: the Indian Premier League, which is not a soccer league, it's the biggest cricket league in the world. They only run for like 4 months, 3 to 4 months, if not even that actually. They have a shorter season than the NFL. They have about half as many teams as the NFL. They play in like the spring months. Actually, I think it's about to start sooner. If not, if it might already be going on actually. The IPL rights deals and the value of the league is the second highest in the world outside the NFL. It's more valuable than the NBA. It's more valuable than Major League Baseball, the Premier League, the Champions League, cricket. And the 6 billion now, I think it is, people in India. So yeah, like who would think that after the NFL, the second most valuable sports league in the world is the Indian Premier League? But that's an example of that. I mean, and obviously, you know, with even with the Rooster brothers and what they were doing with that Priyanka Chopra and Richard Madden show, I don't know if that's ever coming back. Citadel, and then remember Netflix tried to do their like Indian spin-off from the Gray Men, not the Gray Men. What was it? The one with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans? No, it was a Chris Evans movie. The Gray Man. That was the Gray Man. Never mind. It was like, and they had like an Indian character show up halfway and just spend a while. It makes sense. I mean, Prime Video and they're not the only ones to recognize this. Also, in recent years, India has allowed a lot more international media companies to like have a bigger presence down there. And right now, the IPL's rights deal is coming up for renewal soon. And the streaming service Jio Hotstar, I think, might be exiting it, which is more of a regional streaming service. So that's going to be up for grabs. I think Amazon might be one of the players positioning themselves to grab that, as well as, they have a lot of good Indian programming already on there. So yeah, absolutely. I think this is, like you said, I mean, obviously simple, obvious statement, but I just wanted to provide more context for those of us who might be like wondering, but why? Because, it's like Bollywood movies don't make nearly as much as like Avengers or something, but it's a growing market. It's the fastest growing market as well. So yeah.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly, Monique, and M2G and Tony and everybody in the chat, Ron. Yeah.
But DreamWorks Animation's Forgotten Island adds Joe Coy, Dolly Leon, Ronnie Chang, and Amelin Abellera?
Abellera, yeah.
I
Ronnie
know
Chang,
two of
Joe
these
Coy.
people.
Yes, I know.
The guy who
I actually know all three or four. Three? I know three of them.
I know Joe Coy. What was it? He sucked at the Emmys or something. What was it?
No, it wasn't No, he had a movie that really sucked. No, I think he did an award show.
No, didn't he do an award show and he was like really bad? Wasn't that like the Golden Globes like 2 years ago?
Joe Coy. It was because it's like none of his jokes and landed. What did he do? Oh, he hosted the Golden Globes in 2024. Oh yes. Wow. Fiona's here. Hello, moderator Fiona. 100,000 subscribers, everybody. This is our first show since then. Thank you so much for helping us get whatever that plaque is going to be. But it's more than that. It's just the fact that there's all of us, here that are part of this community. So we really appreciate you for that. Thank you for the reminder. And of course, we'll try to do something special.
Apparently he only, because I looked it up, I'm like, it was the Golden Globes. Yeah. And he only had 10 days to do it. So it was like,
yes. So kind of unfair because most people wouldn't be able to kind of get their shit together for that short of a period of time. But I do recognize Dolly DeLeon. I think she was actually in this shortly lived Joe Coy sitcom, which was also not very good. But then Ronnie Chang, dude, Ronnie Chang's comedy just hits right. He's like the I want now, prime now, put it in my mouth, shove it down my throat, and pull the feces out of my that's. I
am aware of him. I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I've seen a couple of his things. So
also, I relate to a lot of Joe Coy's comedy because that Southeast Asian cultural. There's a lot of overlap, even though he's I think he's Indonesian and I'm not Indonesian, but I can relate to a lot. They're great comedians. I don't know how well they're gonna do as actors, but then again, it's an animated movie, so you just gotta show up and show out. So
yeah. TV ratings: Marshalls repeats as multi-platform leader.
Chain
cool.
Gang Soldier, M2G.
Cool.
I'm gonna put that plaque. I'm gonna wear it like a Chain Gang Soldier.
Wait, hold on. Is that Logan Marshall Green? Right there? AKA Discount Tom Hardy? Is that him?
It certainly looks like.
Yeah.
No. Oh, it is. Yes, you're right. I mean, look, Marshalls, I think they're already talking. This is the next big Yellowstone spinoff. I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row. It's been one of the biggest things out there. And this is actually the first time they've put a Yellowstone related show on CBS, the big CBS network. So, yeah, great stuff.
I do like
Not
Logan
Tom
Marshall.
Hardy.
He was the first shocker, and then he got murdered by a vulture.
Yeah.
Next star
It does look
Techno
like a
deal.
movie.
8 states file emergency motion to halt disastrous merger of local TV broadcasters. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Well, so this here is I remember I mentioned this. Okay, so John, you live in Connecticut, right? We established this. I'm not doxing you.
Yes, thank you for doxing me, Dan.
Well, I thought we established it a long time ago. I mean, Liz, John, and I all sort of are from the same state. But anyway, the point is, as an example, just in Connecticut alone, the local ABC station and the local Fox station would be under this merger owned by the same company, right? So Nexstar owns the local ABC station and Tegna owns our local Fox station. There's a bunch of other markets, and Connecticut is a pretty big market in the country. It's in the Northeast, and then you have other markets like Chicago, LA, New York, and New Orleans and stuff. So this is a big deal. If the DOJ is not going to do it at the federal level, they're not going to really put up a fight with the FCC, then the states are going to get involved. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop it from happening, but they're certainly going to try. And if they succeed here, then that improves their chances of doing anything with the Warner Brothers Paramount merger. I think that's where the movie business significance comes in, because this could set a legal precedence for the Paramount Warner Brothers merger as well, or certainly puts the AGs, like state AGs, on more firm ground, trying to fight that bigger fight that's coming down the road, not too far away. So yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Context. Just wanted to.
Speaking of Last of Us, though, Last of Us Season 3 casts Michelle Mao as Yara and Kiriana Crater as Lev, which has already been seeing some controversy because I believe one of the characters is a trans man, and you're having a biological woman play the trans man, and I've seen a couple trans people that are not very happy about that. So
I'm not familiar with this because I didn't play the game, so I don't know the context. So I'll defer to you on that.
Yeah, because a friend of mine, trans, she posted it, and she's like, "Really, Year of Our Lord 2026, we can't get a trans person to play a trans role." It's like, all right, I can see where you're coming from.
I mean, there's options. There's plenty of options out there.
Plenty of options.
Plenty of options.
We'll see where it goes. Maybe it'll be like an Odessa Asian situation where she realizes, oh, this I'm playing a person of color. Yeah, no, and drops out. Hopefully they do that. And they get someone proper for the role, but we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, hopefully they don't do that. Hopefully
they do in fact do that.
There you go.
I was told it was trans, so that's where I'm going off. It could be non-binary. I could be wrong on that. I just was talking with someone about it, and they were very upset about it.
Yeah. Rightfully so. I think we can use more representation. That's always appreciated, and yeah, I think it matters more than ever today. So
yeah,
agreed.
But next up, Kevin Hart live roast set at Netflix with host Shane Gillis. Honestly, I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan, and I'm a huge Shane Gillis fan, so I'd watch this.
I still don't understand the concept of a roast, in the sense that, like, it's like, I know what a roast is. I'm not saying I don't know what a roast is, but it's just, I don't know, like, I can't relate to it as well as maybe some people could, because I don't know. I guess maybe Kevin Hart could, because, like, I remember then the Netflix first did one of these, was a Tom Brady one, and then they bring, like, Bill Belichick on the stage with him, and the level of awkwardness was palpable, because even, like, Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman were, like, sitting there like just like on the couch. And Kevin Hart was actually there, so I guess we'll see how well this turns out. I'm sure Dwayne Johnson will show up, and they'll have their fun. So cool.
Very nice.
Very nice.
But next up, Frank Miller draws his first ever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover.
Full circle, baby. What a full circle moment this is.
And what a shock to absolutely no one. And it looks like fucking dog shit. Wow. Could have fucking told you that.
Well, I mean, look, again.
Fucking. Oh, God, it's ugly to look at. Jesus Christ.
So, to anybody who's wondering the context, which I assume most of you know, obviously the creators of TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original characters, they were inspired by Frank Miller's work.
Look how fucking good that looks. And then look at this shit. This was like drawn by a third grader. God damn, bro.
I mean, but you know what? It is a pretty cool full circle moment, if not for the quality of the art. It's just the guy whose work they were inspired by to create TMNT is now, like, sort of been like, yeah, I'll draw, the TMNT. It's. I mean, at least for the creators.
Create Daredevil though.
No, I know, but it's like he's made some of the more iconic iterations, like obviously the Dark Knight Returns we talk about all the time. But it's for the creators of TMNT, this got to be a cool moment. That the person that they based their greatest creation on is like, yeah, I'll draw these guys for you. Like, it's just imagine, like, if you were making a movie that was inspired by your favorite, like, person that you looked up to in Hollywood, and then they were like, I want to be in your movie. Wouldn't that be a cool moment? I think I'm looking at it from their perspective. I think I'm not really concerned as much about the quality of the art, but anyway. Keep going.
Finally, this is kind of what we were talking about before, but there was also stuff in regards to like Pixar and Star Wars and that kind of thing.
Other Disney animation too, I think.
So we did talk about the Marvel stuff, but So
there's it's actually, if you scroll up there a little bit, I'll read it off for a second. Right there. Sorry, nope. So there it says there, an untitled Disney movie previously dated on July 28, 2028 moves to February 18th, 2028. In addition, the studio is calling dibs on November 10th, 2028 for another Disney movie. Those were 2 dates that were, I think, previously Marvel titles. So now they're still Disney movie dates. They're just not going to be Marvel movies. So there are going to be other kinds of Disney movies.
And the November 10th date is no longer on the schedule. And in 2029, untitled Disney picks are on hold for the following dates: February 16th, March 9th, May 25th, August 3rd, October 5th, and November 9th. And then we talked about the Marvel Studios May 4th and July 13th, 2029 dates.
Disney animation.
A Disney animation movie will bow on June 15th, 2029. And a Pixar movie is set for November 21st, 2029. So,
yeah. Hey, Cole, we'll get into that later. But
this is just kind of expanding on other stuff in regards to Disney slate that's not Marvel. So.
Right, because I mean, Disney didn't just make this announcement specifically for Marvel. They basically are putting it's industry practice to kind of like put out there that, okay, we're gonna drop a movie on this date, so that every other studio, it's an unwritten rule. Like you could choose to put a movie out on the same. That's how we get Doomsday, but like, you know, or Barbenheimer, but like you don't have to. So like it's generally good. It's a good practice to put it out there in the world that we want to call dibs on certain dates, so that if a studio is thinking about it, they might like stagger another studio would move, you know, their dates around, or they might not pick the same date. That's the idea. So, yeah.
Very nice. But now that's it for, you know, this part of the show. We have DCU Daily time to get into, so let's get into it.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you really I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!
What's up? Today, DCU Daily time. There we go. Here we go. There we go. Just keep it right here. They don't need no pizza. They got food there. Anyway. Dan.
I don't even know what you were getting at. I mean, okay, you guys are still talking about the other movies. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about a bunch of stuff today from DC. It's an eclectic selection. There's a lot more than yesterday for sure. The Supergirl stuff. There's some absolute universe news as we get into a lot. James Gunn finally, you know, getting back on the internet for one. So, you know, like, God, James, like, either you're completely online or you're completely offline. Like, you know, just find a middle ground, man. Like, we need some news. But anyway, today, John reveals DCU Batman. I'm Batman. I don't know. John, do you have any plans to talk about DCU Batman today?
I don't think so.
All right.
I don't believe so.
By the way, to address your
guys'
guys' comments
first.
Yes, let's get into
our
DC stuff.
DC quick hits. So, you know, we've been talking about the Spider-Man, Superman crossover for a bit that's going to come out in a few days. So just like these little bits from, you know, the comic, just some cute little panels and that kind of thing. But yeah, nice.
It's fun. It's like a nice inside look at the Superman Spider-Man crossover, right? Number 1. That's the idea.
Yep. It's coming out in 5 days, soon to be 4. So
yes, sir. Sorry. That looks fun. I can't wait.
I'm
to
definitely
see
going
what
to
this
be
turns into.
reading it. I get more and more excited as the days go on, so I think I'm actually going to be watching this.
By the way,
reading
what do
this.
you think is? If you click into this artwork, what do you think is going on there? Is he?
I don't know if this
what
is actually from the comic or maybe like he just got like, you know, just woozy kryptonite. I don't know, but yeah, whatever it is, I'm intrigued. If it is in the comic, maybe this is just a promotional thing. Who knows?
Could be. I mean, it sounds like it looks like either he's got a stomach bug or like you said some kind of kryptonite thing. Although there doesn't seem to be any kryptonite nearby, but it's cool. I mean, you know, even superheroes need saving sometimes, and it's good to have friends in high places, as it were. So,
yes. But next up, we have the coming this June, the New Titans HQ, the New Titans 36 cover by Torrin Clark, and then DC Comics saying, "Can I crash?" But yeah, it has. It looks like it has spoiler. You know, Superboy, the Brazilian Wonder Girl, and a couple other people, Cyborg, and a couple other people I am not aware of. Nightwing is there. I think that's Terra, and a couple other people. I don't know the chick with the boots or the devil.
Brazilian Wonder Girl, yes.
Definitely. I think that might be Kid Devil.
Also, that Superboy costume looks nice. I do appreciate
so
that.
I think that's Kid Devil.
Gotcha, Tony.
Well, because he was the sidekick of Blue Devil. So yeah, very cool.
This looks really cool. I still think the T is iconic, but this looks nice. You know, I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for the OG animated version of the Titans.
Of course.
Teen Titans. Like, you know, of course, come on.
And now we get to Absolute Batman, the thing that's rocking the world right now. Absolute Batman number 20 covers real twisted absolute redesigns of Two-Face and Penguin. So let's do that. So we have Two-Face right here, who looks like Sephiroth from fucking Final Fantasy. And then we have Penguin, who just looks like a tumor. Okay, then.
Does he? Like, is that like... Wait, go back to the other one. That's Wonder Woman there. Oh, wow. That just looks like an anime character. Like, yeah. Japanese Two-Face. Definitely Japanese Two-Face. Did you just say anime character? That was in listing again? That's probably what you said.
Yeah, well, I think it was Sephiroth is his name. Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Let's not be abusive. But I was just thinking for a moment, can you imagine if when they do make like an absolute Batman movie, can you imagine like the guy pulls out like some crazy looking goon and he's like, oh, he does need a wheelchair. You're not wrong. Whatever he's got going on there, it does look like he needs a wheelchair. You're not wrong. Tony, I just realized what's in the image. But I was saying, like, can you imagine if like in an absolute Batman movie he pulls out the goon from the car and he's like, I'm absolute Batman. Like that could be like a...
No, it's like it goes from I'm vengeance to I am absolute.
I am absolute. Or like Badman, you know, that we need one of those. Peter, get to work on that.
With an H, stupid.
Yes.
But yeah, they look cool.
Yep.
Interesting, like they clearly are their characters, but definitely creepier. So there's that. So cool.
Agreed.
Cool.
Indeed.
But then finally, the last bit of comic stuff we have. Somebody did a cosplay of Absolute Wonder Woman, and it looks pretty fucking awesome. Speaking of Final Fantasy, that fucking cloud sword. So there's that.
I mean, even if that's not metal, you can beat somebody up with that shit. Like, you know, even if that's just foam core, I'm like, a few times, like it will keep them away from you. But it's epic. It just further goes to show you that this needs to be the costume in the DCU, because that shit is fire. Like, I would love to watch a DCU Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, they said
that's the inspiration.
And then DC Comics retweeted it with absolutely wonderful. So.
Absolutely. That's what, you know, if they do make an absolute universe movie, that's how you use the word, you know? We're going to absolutely win this battle, guys. Like, you know, like in the Snyder Cut, like there's like, they've never faced us before. You know? Not us absolutely united. What? Like, you know, It's just you randomly throw the word absolute in there. It's like they already did that in Zack Snyder's
fellow kids.
BVS.
We also like the absolute things.
They already did it in BVS, John. If there's a 1% chance, we have to treat it as an absolute certainty. Remember, it was like Zack Snyder was ahead of his time. Zack Snyder invented the absolute universe. Like, you guys didn't even know like how far ahead he was of all of that. So there now I'm just talking here. What's next here? We got that's all the quickest we got. So let me transition us over to I gotta pop this open. We gotta talk about some Supergirl stuff, by the way. Let's get to the Supergirl stuff. I'm gonna switch the graphic and share my window here, because John had to step away for a second. So you guys gotta hang with me here. Hang with me here. It's an eclectic show today. This is what the live TV is all about, you know. So let's talk about the Supergirl movie variant comic covers, because we actually looked at one of these the other day. Like, this is the one we talked about. It looks pretty epic. It looks pretty comic. Well, not comic, but the movie accurate. You look at the costuming from the trailer alone, the logo, and like the paint, kind of like, you know, dripping off of it and all that. Like the spaceships look pretty accurate. This here, well, very like, you know, much more of like that. It looks like watercolor to me. Like, maybe if you want to correct me if I'm thinking of the wrong thing here, but Jim Lee worked on this. This looks pretty epic. You know, slightly more abstract. I love the colors that they use here. Then this one to me is fire. This is the best one yet. This is going to be used in a future DCU Daily thumbnail, don't you worry, because that is epic. That makes the costume look even better than the actual costume in the movie. Not to mention, like, she looks like a badass, and you got Crypto in the top there. Crypto looking amazing, and you're gonna have the Ozu ear that never goes down, like, you got that going. And yeah, of course, you got the sword there, and this is epic. This, to me, you could literally make this like one of those classic Star Wars-y posters from like the 70s and just put Supergirl, like, the, you know, the logo treatment and everything, and boom. You're looking for this, like that would be it. For me, this would be baller. Like, this is great. This is so great. Supergirl definitely drinking vodka. You like the middle one, Tony? This one. So you like this one the most? Yeah, I mean, look, if I had to hang one of these on a wall in my house, I would choose this, because this looks absolutely super. You know, kind of continuing on the theme there. But yeah, I mean, these variant covers are amazing. I mean, what do you guys think about them? Because I think, to me, these are the works that, I mean, while obviously they're sort of inspired by the movie, I think they should start using some of these to like give us more of that, you know, posters and stuff, like one sheet for the movie, because like they used to have posters like this in the 70s and 80s. I mean, and you know, the artists who made some of the most iconic ones are no longer with us, but like it's so representative of the movie, and you're not going to confuse it with like, oh, is that an animated movie? I thought it was a live action movie. I just really appreciate these designs. They're so epic. I was really impressed by this. Yeah, the watercolored one is pretty good, but like I said, I mean, I personally love that one. This one we already talked about. Very, very, you know, again, just iconic. You can immediately tell what you're looking at. And yeah, this one, just the colors are striking. But hey, let's talk about James Gunn mentioning the timeline of Supergirl, because of course, you guys might remember, guys and gals and everybody watching, it wasn't, you know, too long ago that James Gunn talked about, I think it was either in a Threads post or it was one of those Q&A sessions. He was asked about the idea that, hey, what's like the timeline of all your projects? Because obviously Creature Commandos, you know, was the first thing to come out, then Superman comes out. And then of course from there, now we're, you know, Peacemaker season 2, and now we're Supergirl, and they got Lanterns, and you got Clayface. So are we jumping around a little bit? Like, what's the timeline here? Like, was Supergirl already out partying, doing her Woman of Tomorrow thing before Superman's movie? And that's like, so when we see her at the end, you know, clearly that's not the case, because, you know, Crypto's with her, and, you know, so she takes Crypto back. So I guess they were just establishing that, you know, that's what she likes to do, because now James Gunn has clarified this for us, And if you didn't come across this earlier today, then here you go. James Gunn confirmed the DC Studio movies' place in the timeline. Of course, he was asked about this on Threads. Let me see. I think if I have, I actually have the quote from James Gunn directly. I'm just going to go to the source. But basically, James Gunn said that, hey, it takes place between Superman and Man of Tomorrow in terms of the timeline. Which, by the way, today he was on social media because he posted this photo from, the Peacemaker season 2 with Lex Luthor, and of course, you got Frank Grillo there as Rick Flag Senior. But John, you saw this. James Gunn just sort of. I mean, I don't know if he's restating the obvious, because I think it's a valid question.
I think it's pretty obvious, because I think he did confirm it a while ago that it's going to be chronological order. So
I mentioned that, like he said that, but again, it's like if you say it on Threads, does it make it, like canon? You know what I mean? Like it's.
I mean, it's the director of both telling you. Then, yeah.
Well, no, I guess
and the CEO of.
Fair. Rest in peace, Drew Struzan. Yes, that's what I was talking about. He made some of the most iconic movie posters of all time, and some of that Supergirl artwork reminded me of it for sure. But yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, John, because the MCU has jumped around, and if they are still making a Paradise Lost TV show, that will obviously not be chronologically placed right between whatever 2 other projects that comes out. But I guess it means at least so far these things are all chronologically produced, because. Remember when Superman came out, everybody was wondering, so is Woman of Tomorrow, the events of that movie already happened, because she's back from clearly having been, Clark says she goes to other planets with wet suns to get drunk. So, and that is the Woman of Tomorrow story in a lot of ways, which it looks like we're going to get a little bit of anyway. So I'm sure there's a lot of people, because not everybody out there is consuming this stuff 5 days a week like we are, right? So there are people who are just still probably wondering. So I'm glad that James Gunn kind of clarified it. And again, sometimes you just have to restate what you said 10 months ago, because the fandom is that big, and still it's a Threads post. There's a lot of people who don't even have Threads. So I mean, now the news kind of spreads, and we looked at the comicbookmovie.com article about it. So it makes sense. Superman. I mean, to me, if anything, this makes it more likely that Supergirl might be in Man of Tomorrow, at least with a cameo, which is something that people were speculating about from the moment Man of Tomorrow was announced. So yeah, but it's good to know, because I mean, I'm trying to think of how it would impact, that question of, did Clark ever ask Kara about how do you remember my parents, because we're gonna address the elephant in the room, because now that the world knows about it and Kara was back on Earth to get crypto back, she must have ran across the clip of the full message from Clark's parents, his Kryptonian parents. So I'm sure they'll have a conversation at one point, and maybe that happens in Man of Tomorrow. So I think for me, some of those questions, by virtue of James Gunn confirming this, are slightly more enlightened. Maybe some things still need to be answered. So that's what I was trying to get at. But anyway, let's keep going.
But the last bit of kind of Supergirl news is Dan Mora did this cool picture of all the characters that have shown up in the movies.
Dude, that post again, that Supergirl one looks up. That suit looks better than the live action suit. Like I was saying before, she looks absolutely badass. See what I did there? Never mind. I'm just gonna keep trying to sneak that word in now.
Although, according to the people below, it's AI slop.
It's not.
Even
this
though
is the original stuff.
It's Dan Mora.
Dan
right
Mora,
there.
He signed it right there.
He signed it. This is his drawing. So you're just fucking stupid.
Yep, love it. Love the artwork, and I mean he is literally probably the best artist working in DC right now. Look at that stuff. It's just it just completely catches the spirit of the live action, costumes and characters and actors. You get the bulge, very accurate duplication and representation of that there. I definitely noticed, Dan. Yeah, no, it's he even kind of gave Superman some abs. There's sort of a 4.5 pack going there. But yeah, I mean his stuff in Batman. Remember he was talking about it that's coming soon. That Batman, I never thought the blue and gray would work. But leave it to Dan Mora to prove us wrong. So Anyway, let's keep going. I think that's all the Supergirl stuff for now, though.
Yeah.
We gotta switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about Peacemaker, shall we? So I don't actually know if I have a lower third for that. So we'll just switch to the generic one.
We did, but then I think we got rid of it. Oh, we don't have Peacemaker news in the near future. Well, going back to what you were talking about, this was the selfie that, well, not selfie, but like the thing that James Gunn took of Rick Flag and Lex Luthor talking to each other in Peacemaker. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned this earlier while you stepped away for a moment. To me, James Gunn, this is just him sort of posting it to be like, oh, cool, look at that. Another set photo I found on my phone. Threads it. I don't think anybody has any misgivings about this being something other than James Gunn just sharing stuff, which it looks like that's what Zack Snyder was doing this whole time anyway, because that whole countdown didn't really lead to anything else in terms of the Snyder Cut. So if anything, James Gunn is, I mean, he's on set prepping for this. So for all we know, this might be a fake out. Like they could literally be just refilming a part of the scene for Man of Tomorrow. Because I can't imagine Lex Luthor's situation would have changed all that much. But I mean, this clearly, when he says it's from Peacemaker, we'll believe it. But like, you know, the circumstances of the two characters are probably not all that different at the start of Man of Tomorrow. You know, Lex is still behind bars. He's helping Rick Flag Sr., and Rick Flag Sr. has consolidated a lot of his power, but it's a good preview because James got his knees deep in prepping for Man of Tomorrow's shoot. So I get it. I get like why now put this out. So.
But that's not the only thing. Apparently, there's been zero discussions about Peacemaker in the near future because Freddie Stroma had this to say when they were talking about it on the direct. I've had zero discussions. People always say, oh, you wouldn't tell us anyway. But I genuinely have no idea. I wish I could act all coy, but I genuinely don't know. So, yeah. So, anybody excited to see more Peacemaker? Well, it's not happening for a while. So, sorry.
I don't know. Do you believe him? Like, do you think he means it? Like, is there actually like no plan? Because I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, James Gunn did mention that it will be a while before we see the 11th Street Gang again. But I guess as a sidebar, do you think we should be seeing them sooner? Because they're just like one of the most recognizable parts of, you know, the franchise at this point. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't imagine that they'll be doing anything much with him in the near future because Peacemaker is stuck on Salvation, or whatever the fuck it's called, and then the 11th Street Kids aren't really. I mean, they have Checkmate, which is fine, but I don't think they're planning to do anything. I think they just want to focus on the movies right now, and then now with the merger and all that, we'll actually see if that has any bearing on the future, but like I can't imagine that they're doing much with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I mean, look, it could change very quickly because sometimes James Gunn kind of plays it close to the vest. Because, for example, like Peacemaker season 2 sort of kind of went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. I feel like, if I remember correctly. And then obviously, like, you know, Man of Tomorrow, now that we know that it's happening, when it was first announced, people were like, wait, you're doing a Superman sequel? And then the more we learned about it, we found out that James Gunn had actually, you know, been talking to Nicholas Hoult about it on the set, and that, you know, Isabel Merced Hawkgirl knew about it and stuff. So it turned out that apparently Man of Tomorrow was in works for a lot longer than, you know, James Gunn may have let on in the beginning. So yeah, cool. I'm just saying we might be getting the 11th Street Kids back sooner than we expect, but clearly James Gunn has got his hands tied with a really big movie, because I guess like Man of Tomorrow could be the closest thing to a DCU Justice League you might get so far, considering you're gonna have Hawkgirl in there, you know, Jon Stewart's Green Lantern, Superman, Lex Luthor in a mech suit, Brainiac, and I bet you, like, you know, we're probably gonna see Guy Gardner or maybe Mr. Terrific. Like, it's basically a proto Justice League movie. So yeah, James Gunn probably wants to just focus on that for now, and, you know, all the other projects that were already announced Hey, Pacerland, how are you doing? You know, James Gunn has mentioned, speaking of the Checkmate show, there's a couple of secret things that have been greenlit, and I think a lot of us assume it's the Jimmy Olsen show, which there's some reason to, but there's all the for all we are thinking about, maybe a Checkmate show might actually be happening, and maybe James Gunn doesn't want to write it himself or isn't gonna write it, so then he could just hand that off to somebody else while he works on Man of Tomorrow. Or if he wants to write it himself,
The
I think he's
Man
gonna
of
hold on to that.
Tom.
So yeah.
But speaking of Tom,
Mm-hmm.
let's get into lanterns. Because we do have one interesting article that was written about it in regards to this dispute between Grant Morrison and Damon Lindelof. And
Wrong, Tony.
but Green Lantern, the Damon Lindelof and Grant Morrison dispute revealed the problem with comic book adaptations. Green Lanterns is weird, and it's okay. Yes. So I only kind of skimmed this article, so Dan, I'm sure you have more to say about it than I do.
Yeah, well, look, what I was gonna say. Okay, so the point I'm gonna make here, I think, is I'm just a TLDR of it. I mean, look, it's I think what I got out of. I mean, you tell me, what you got out of the article, but I think for me, I look at what they're trying to get at here. Look, if you're adapting, we've talked about this like all week long. If you're adapting the Green Lanterns for the first time in earnest, you could say they did that in 2011, sure, but in hindsight, that's not considered definitive by most fans. So it's not just about what your intention was, but it's also about the effect and if the audience accepted that as the definitive iteration. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna call them the Green Lanterns, then you gotta have at least some of the color green in there, because even the version of, like, even when Hal Jordan is using the ring in the Lanterns trailer, the green feels muted. It looks more like just white light and with the green tint than green light. And they cut away from the shot before anything actually happens. And obviously the suit we have talked about. But I guess what I was trying to get at, to me, yes, it's hard to, it's if you go back to the headline, I think the headline is a good summary, obviously, but there's always, like, when you say it's a problem with with comic book adaptations. The point I've been making for the last few days is literally that with, like, Christopher Reeve's Superman, that felt like a definitive adaptation. That the bar was set. With Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the bar was set. With Michael Keaton's Batman, the precedence, the bar was set. Everything gets compared to those iterations. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, every other future Wolverine, whenever Hugh Jackman decides to hang it up, will be compared to that. Every Professor X has been and will be compared to Sir Patrick Stewart, and every Magneto will be compared to Sir, Ian McKellen. And you could say that about other things. I mean, for better or for worse, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman was popular, and a lot of people, when you ask them about it, and I'm not just talking about comic book nerds, they look at that Wonder Woman character iteration, right? For a lot of people, the television Flash, the Barry Allen Flash with Grant Gustin, is their definitive, unless you go back to the 90s show, which I think there's a lot more people that are aware of the Arrowverse version. So moving forward, I think once you have the definitive edition, the next time you adapt that character, you don't have the burden to make that the new definitive one for the fans. You can go in with the intention to do it, but it's also, again, if the fans deem it as such, or the movie going, TV watching audience, it's up to us to decide, right? It's like the reboot of Ryan Coogler's X-Files will always be compared to the original show. Because it's so iconic. But for example, Battlestar Galactica, most people don't even remember the original Battlestar Galactica was a very different show back in, I think, the 70s or 80s. I think it was the 80s. And it was very much a ripoff of Star Wars, and a low budget one at that. But everybody remembers the Ronald D. Moore Battlestar Galactica. That's the definitive iteration. And they were going to do another continuation or, reboot of it, and go in a different direction. But, you've got a definitive one. You can hold on to that. The reason why Man of Steel could exist is because they already did all those Superman movies with Christopher Reeves, because they then already did Superman Returns. And so now you had the room to sort of like maybe do something more deconstructionist or go in a different direction, make it more grounded, more of an alien, first contact tale, whatever, however you describe Man of Steel. And then obviously, now we're kind of like a regression to the mean with Superman that we're getting now, much more closer to his comic book iteration, but there's nothing wrong with it. With Green Lanterns, what we haven't really seen is that, general consensus, definitive take on the character. There's a lot of elements of the 2011 Green Lantern that people consider to be iconic. There's a lot of elements of the Zack Snyder, Watchmen that people consider to be iconic. Actually, you know what? That Watchmen is the definitive for a lot of people. So the HBO one was compared to it, but HBO could zag because, they zigzag out of the way and do something original because that other Watchmen exists. With Green Lanterns, that's not the case. With Green Lanterns, you had an imperfect version with Ryan Reynolds, and now I think people were looking forward to, especially because this particular Green Lantern show is not just even in development for the last couple of years, Sean. This particular show goes all the way back to the DCEU, and we've talked about the previous iteration, but the whole different creative team. They even cast some actors. They were going to use other Lanterns, not Hal Jordan and not Jon Stewart, the less popular iterations like Kyle Rayner and stuff. So I think when people thought we are going to get Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, people were like, okay, our thoughts and prayers have been answered. We're going to get what we want. It's going to look great. It's going to sound great. It's on HBO. It's going to be great. And then I think so far it just feels like it's disappointed on those levels. It's like people weren't looking, and off the beaten path version of Lanterns. They wanted a Green Lanterns TV show. And I think, that's inherently always going to be a problem with adapting anything. But the argument I'm making is if you make a definitive adaptation, then I think the next, iteration doesn't have the same burden of like, we need to see that definitive version. I think Marvel understands that well under the MCU, because anytime they give us, like, their approach has shown so far that they understand this idea. And DC does too under James Gunn, I think. But like the first time they showed Captain America, very close to the comic. Then they went in different directions. But Fantastic Four, they knew there were 3 other iterations, so they needed to give something different and very unique that we haven't seen before. Because for a lot of people, they've already seen like 2-3 different versions before. So that's what they did. I think with DC, with Green Lanterns, we should have gotten a really iconic, true to the comics iteration. Or if it is in the show, then don't hide it away, showcases in the trailer. Because you want people to tune into the show, not because they heard from a friend, from a mother's, brother's, cousin's, husband, that, oh my god, did you see the finale of the show? They went cosmic, here are the costumes, and now you're going back and watching the show back and binging 8 episodes because somebody told you about it. Because you want that audience while the show's airing. You want the show to do well enough that you can make more of them down the road. So I think that's where the disconnect is. But that's where I stand on this. I don't know. What did you get out of the article?
It just goes to show, like, I understand, like, where they're coming from. Like, you need to grab people that aren't necessarily, Green Lantern fans, but, like, I feel like they got the wrong people. Even if it was a dumb joke, he still made the joke. Like, maybe there is some truth in that, where he does think Green Lantern is kind of dumb. So, or at least the name of it or the color or whatever. So I just think I think there is some credence to what he's saying here on both fronts, where it's like, yeah, don't piss off fans. Try to feel into those roots of what made those characters special and really good for those fans. But at the same time, you're trying to appeal to everyone. So I get that, but it just feels so weird that you're going so out of your way.
Yeah.
To, like, I understand, like, doing a police procedural, like, have the idea of a police procedural. It's just in space. Like, okay, like, just have like a fucking, like, typical CBS show, like SWAT or something. All right, but it's in space. Okay, cool. I could see that. But it needs a big budget. That's another thing. They got to keep it close to Earth because they can't blow money on this. So there's that as well. But it's, I don't know, it's just like there's a lot of emotions. I don't want to hate the show. It's just I'm very biased and it just doesn't look appealing to me. I'll still watch it for, the show and whatnot, and I'm curious, and I'm still a DC fan. So, It's yeah, it just feels like a mixed bag of weird stuff that I'm just like, it leaves me with an uneasy, weird feeling that I don't like very much.
Yeah, it's. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just like, don't be afraid to embrace a comic book property as a comic book property, because it very much feels like the approach from like what Fox was doing with the X-Men movies, and like in some ways, like the costumes, like they didn't want to use the yellow costume, like, and obviously sometimes it just works better, like with the Batman movie in '89, and then everything else that's happened since, outside of maybe the Ben Affleck Batman, the suit has largely been black, and in the comics you get some more color to it. Right now they got the blue and gray version, so sometimes the how you adapt something to the screen to make it believable in IRL, like it's gonna be, there's gonna be some tweaking that will need to happen. But it's almost like the way they're doing this so far has almost kind of felt like if they were making this in the 90s or in the 2000s, and they just didn't think anybody would take it seriously, if they were literally just you know people wearing construct made suits with green rings flying into space as space cops, that where they're powered by the power of hope, or like not hope, but like with all the different colors and their unique characteristics. It's just like, who would find that believable? Like it's like, it's not the 90s, it's not the 2000s. Like, people can get on board the idea that the Green Lanterns are cosmic space cops. Like, that's like, embrace the sci-fi. Like, we don't need a western, or if that's where it starts, but then give us a hint at where it goes. Like, the Spider-Man trailer is a great example. I bet you that the majority of what we saw in the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer is from the first and the act, and then maybe part of the second act. But I can definitely tell there's some stuff in there, like a few shots that would be from the third act. And so they're not giving you a lot of context. They're also removing some characters in some of the sequences, it seems like, but you're giving us like some of those moments because they know, like, how they need to sell tickets. You need to get butts in seats. You need to get eyeballs on screens. Like, I will always call back to the idea. We knew, dude, even if you weren't a super fan, you knew Superman was coming back for the Justice League movie. And they just didn't want to market it as that because technically he died in BVS, even though the movie ends with the dust rising and a clear hint that he's probably not dead entirely. And then the opening weekend didn't do so well, and then right away all the trailers from then on were like, oh, go watch the movie, this is what X, Y, and Z people are saying about it, and oh, by the way, here's the 3 Superman shots we did not include in all the trailers before the movie got released. Now obviously that movie have a lot of other issues, but the point I'm trying to make is, I think they're hurting themselves, because if they got the goods, then you gotta flaunt it, man. Like, and I'm not asking you to give it all away, because if you were, because either is that you're just afraid to show it, or you just don't have a ton of it. Because if all we're gonna get is maybe a couple of shots, and you're like, if you put those in the trailer, then people will be like, well, that was it. That was literally it, and you put it in because that's what I worry. That's like my next level concern with this, is that whatever this cosmic aspect is gonna be so tiny that even when we do get to it, people are gonna be like, oh, that was it. Okay. Oh, that's great. So this was a waste of time after all. And I think that's worrisome as well. So I think this is, again, they have to turn the ship around, because it's not a PR disaster like we were talking about, because that is always a hyperbolic way of talking about it. But it's certainly not boding well, especially in a year when it's not like a safe year. Like, if this was coming out next year, DC could easily be like, okay, if this doesn't work out well, we still got a Batman movie coming out, and we still got a Superman movie coming out, and we got Brainiac, and we got Lex Luthor, and we got a bunch of other meta-human characters in there. We'll be fine. But this is not that year for DC. They got Supergirl and Clayface. Like, if Lanterns really works well, then it could be the best DC thing we put out this year. So it puts a lot more weight of expectations on the show, and I think that's, again, puts it under a bigger microscope than it would have if it was coming out in 2027 instead. But yeah, I hear you, Patrick. Like, it feels like unnecessary drama in some ways, because it is hyperbolic, but I mean, the show comes out in August, so we'll be talking about it for a while longer. But yeah, no, I get it, Pluto. I think like HBO Max's direction and how they market stuff is different. Sorry, I think just stubbed my toe. But still, like, it's a DC property. Like, here's the thing. Like, what was that show that Daphne Keane was on HBO?
His Dark Materials.
His Dark Materials. And even what was it, Westworld and stuff. Like HBO is no stranger to sci-fi programming. The Last of Us. You know, they showed the aliens in the first trailer for The Last of Us. Like they showed us what like the stuff that was gonna give us zombies? The fan service. The zombies. Anyway. It's late. You know, the flower looking zombie things when they open their mouth, it looks like a flower. Like anyways, that's what I'm talking about. So and the thing is, I think this is the kind of show that you want to bring in new audiences, because it's not just an HBO show, it's an HBO Max show. So yes, they have a built-in audience, but you don't just want to appeal to the people who already subscribe to your streaming service. The whole point of a streaming service is to just, it's an economies of scale. You want new people to subscribe. You want DC fans who don't currently subscribe to your streaming service. You want the people who subscribe for the Penguin and then cancel their subscription to come back for Lanterns. And right now, I think they're not doing as good of a job with it as they could have. But yes, Figure Drawing, I agree with you. That was a really good show.
I tried to get into the second season. I just couldn't get into it. I liked the first season, but for some reason, the second season, I just couldn't finish it.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, okay, so look, I'll address this, and I think then after that we can kind of move on. But the whole idea of it's a mystery show, the powers I understand, but the cosmic part, like aliens taking over this town, is a mystery, which is when they'll mainly be using their powers, not on these cowboys. I get what you're saying, Pluto, and I understand, like, you know, like you're being cautionary about not giving away too much because you don't want to give away the entire mystery. But I think a lot of what fans are talking about are not the mystery. They're talking about, like, the costume. They're talking about, like, it's the Green Lanterns. Like, we need the color green somewhere, and it doesn't need to be. It shouldn't be muted green. And like, I know I'm a Man of Steel fan, and I shouldn't be talking because, you know, Man of Steel was, if not nothing else, a lot of muted colors. But yeah, I think you can give those bits away without spoiling the show. Unless it's that central to the story, but I guess we'll find out. I mean, look, they're going to put out at least 1 or 2 more trailers before the show comes out, and I think there will be a reaction to what the reception has been for the first trailer. But like you said, John, that article is a good one. You guys can find it on Den of Geek. I think it's through the Hollywood Reporter, and they did a good job of sort of talking about how, I mean, you know, adapting IP is always an imperfect science. It's, if anything, subjective. So there's always going to be that disconnect sometimes between what fans expect to see, especially with the more popular something is. Like Green Lanterns means different things to many people. Like, you're never going to get one adaptation that everybody loves. So that's just part of how it works in the comic book, movie, and TV genre. So, yeah. But anyway, I digress. I feel like we'll talk about this a lot more in the coming days and weeks and months. So we'll leave it there for now. We do have Fancast Friday coming up still, right, John? Isn't that that's up next? Yep. So we'll call it a night on DCU Daily. 100,000 subscribers. Thank you, everybody, to those who have subscribed. If you have not, be sure to join in now. It's not too late. We do appreciate the subscribe. Also, leave a comment. You know, give us a 5-star rating, or I don't know, like put in like 1 out of 5, or ask us questions. We can bring those in for the Q&A session on the next week's show. When we get comments during the week, we do a Q&A segment at the end of the Friday show. And on the weeks when it's not much to talk about, then we don't. But like, we'd love to hear from you. So get in the comments. Tell us what you think about Lanterns. Where do you stand on the marketing for that? Are you somebody who's like Patrick, just wants to see the show come out already? Or are you still kind of, you know, mad about how they've been marketing it because you're worried that it's not going to be good? Let us know in the comments, and then of course hit the like button. That definitely helps. The YouTube algorithm, you know, that's what we want to be in the good graces of the algorithm. So yeah, but that's it. That's DCU Daily, the last one of the week. Fancast Friday coming up. Dune 4 director. You guys voted for it. We'll be doing it, and so be sure to tune in for that. Give us a few minutes. We'll go refresh our drinks, use the bathroom. You do the same, and then pop into the Fancast Friday stream, and we'll see you there. Until then, thank you for watching another episode of DCU Daily.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you wanna shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!
Fuck Tom King and David Ellison and Jeff Snyder. Always remember.